The storm hit without warning. Lightning split the sky, thunder shook the ground, and the billionaire's private jet plummeted from the clouds, engine screaming. Elara had never seen anything like it, a burning streak of metal tearing across the horizon, and yet, when the plane crashed into her quiet country field, she didn't run. Something inside her told her she needed to help. She never expected to find him. Kai Stanton, ruthless, brilliant, and dangerously beautiful, barely clinging to life. The storm wasn't just outside. It followed him everywhere. And the moment their eyes met, Elara realized her quiet world had ended, and nothing would ever be the same. Within minutes, the rain turned from a nuisance into a weapon, the darkness hiding threats Elara couldn't imagine, and a single truth became impossible to ignore. If she saved him tonight, she might lose everything else, including her heart. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more thrilling stories. The rain came down in thick, furious sheets, turning the gravel roads of Willow Creek into ribbons of mud. Elara Hart had been closing the shutters of her small farmhouse when she heard it, an explosive crack followed by a distant roar. Lightning lit up the sky, and in the brief flash, she saw something impossible. A private jet, its wing low, its tail dipping dangerously, slicing through the storm clouds like a wounded bird. Moments later came the crash. Elara didn't think. She grabbed her lantern, threw on her raincoat, and ran toward the field behind her property. Her boots sank into the mud as the storm clawed at her, but she kept going. When she reached the wreckage, part of the jet was torn open, metal twisted like paper. She climbed in through the fractured hull, shouting over the storm. "Is anyone here? Can you hear me?" A groan answered. A man lay slumped against the cabin wall, blood trickling down his brow, his suit soaked and torn. Even in the chaos, he looked out of place. Like he belonged in a world of chandeliers and marble halls, not in the wreckage of her storm-battered field. She knelt beside him. "Hey, stay with me." His eyes fluttered open, icy blue, disoriented, and fierce all at once. "Where am I?" he rasped. "Elara Hart. You're on my farm. We need to get you out of here." She helped him to his feet, surprised by how warm his touch was despite the cold. He leaned on her, breath unsteady, but his gaze remained sharp, assessing her with an intensity that sent a strange shiver up her spine. By the time she got him inside her farmhouse, his legs nearly gave out. She settled him onto the couch and hurried to get towels and a first aid kit. As she dabbed at the cut on his temple, he watched her in a silence too heavy for a stranger. "You saved my life," he said quietly. "You crashed in my backyard," she answered, trying to sound light. "It felt like the least I could do." A faint smile tugged at his lips, tired but genuine. "My name is Kai. Kai Stanton." Her hand froze. The Kai Stanton, a billionaire, owner of Stanton Aerospace. A man whose face appeared in magazines and news broadcasts, but now lay injured on her couch, staring at her like she was the only solid thing left in the storm. "Why were you flying in weather like this?" she asked. His jaw tightened. "Because I had no choice." Before she could ask more, thunder rattled the windows. The power flickered and died, plunging them into darkness, except for the soft glow of her lantern. Kai sucked in a breath, gripping the blanket she had given him. "They're going to come looking for me," he said. There was something fearful, no, haunted, in his voice. "Your company?" Elara asked. He shook his head slowly. "Not exactly." She opened her mouth to press him, but a sharp knock split the air. Twice. 3 times. Too hard. Too urgent. Elara's heart jumped. Kai grabbed her wrist, his voice barely above a whisper, raw, terrified, and pleading. "Don't open that door." The knocking echoed through the small farmhouse again, louder, more insistent this time, rattling the glass in the window panes. The storm outside howled as if urging her to stay silent, to stay hidden. Elara swallowed hard. "Who is it?" she whispered. Kai's grip tightened around her wrist. His pulse hammered fast, too fast for a man who had stared down corporate empires without blinking. His eyes held a fear raw enough to make her own breath stutter. "Elara, listen to me," he said. "Whoever is out there, they're not here to help. A chill slid down her spine. The knocking turned into pounding. Bang, bang, bang. "Mr. Stanton," a voice called through the door, deep, unfamiliar, and edged with irritation. "We know you're in there. Open the door." Elara's heart lurched. How do they even know? "They were tracking the plane," Kai said, voice taut. "I wasn't supposed to land here. Or survive." Her breath hitched. "What are you talking about?" Before Kai could answer, the doorknob rattled violently. "Open this door," the voice repeated, darker now. "Or we will." Elara backed away, her hand flying to her chest. She had no weapons. No phone signal. No neighbors for miles. Just a lantern, a wounded billionaire on her couch, and a storm that swallowed sound and light alike. Kai struggled to his feet, wincing from his injuries. "I didn't want to drag you into this," he said, breathing hard. "I thought I could keep you safe until help arrived." "Safe from who?" Elara whispered. Kai met her eyes, and something in his expression shattered her breath. "From the people who sabotaged my plane." The pounding stopped. The sudden silence was worse. Elara and Kai stared at each other, suspended in the heartbeat before something terrible. A window in the kitchen exploded inward, glass raining across the floor. A man in a dark coat climbed through, boots crunching on the shards. His face was shadowed, but his voice was unmistakable. "There you are, Stanton." Elara gasped and stumbled back. Kai grabbed her hand. "Run." But before they could move, the lantern flickered and died, plunging them into total darkness. Only the storm illuminated the man's silhouette in flashes of lightning as he raised something in his hand. Something metallic. Something pointed at them. Lightning split the sky again, just long enough for Elara to see the glint of a gun in the intruder's hand. Kai pulled her behind him, despite the way his injured leg buckled under the sudden movement. "Stay behind me," he murmured. "You're hurt," she whispered. "I've survived worse." The intruder stepped forward, boots crunching on broken glass, silhouette tall and unnervingly calm. "You should have stayed on that plane, Stanton," the man said. "Would have saved everyone a lot of trouble." Kai stiffened. His voice, when he spoke, was low and lethal. "You're making a mistake." "Oh, I doubt that." The man cocked the gun. Elara's breath caught in her throat. She clung to Kai's arm, her mind roaring with fear of the storm, of the stranger, of losing this man she had only just met but felt inexplicably drawn to. Thunder boomed, shaking the walls. Then another noise. Soft, almost inaudible. A click. The man's head jerked toward the hallway. Elara's heart tripped. Someone else was in the house. Kai's eyes widened just a fraction. "No, no, no, Elara, get down." Before she could react, a second figure emerged from the shadows near the back door, wearing a hooded jacket soaked through from the rain. A woman's voice cut through the darkness, cool, steady, and terrifyingly certain. "Drop the gun." The first intruder whirled toward her. "Don't even think about it." Lightning flashed again, revealing the woman's face, sharp, familiar, and utterly unreadable. Kai's jaw dropped. "Elara," he whispered, voice trembling for the first time, "that's my sister." "Sister?" Elara blinked. "This is your?" Kai didn't take his eyes off the woman. "I thought you were dead." His sister's gaze flicked to Elara, then back to him. "Not dead. And not your enemy. But we need to move. Now." The first intruder took advantage of the moment of shock. He lunged. There was a shot, a deafening, explosive crack. Then darkness swallowed everything again. Elara felt Kai's hand slip from hers. And when the lightning flashed one more time, Kai Stanton was no longer standing beside her. He was lying on the floor, motionless. "Kai!" Elara dropped to her knees so fast she barely felt the shards of glass cutting into her skin. Her shaking hands hovered over his chest, terrified to touch him, terrified not to. "Kai, please, please open your eyes." His sister rushed forward, grabbing Elara's wrist and pulling her back. "He's not dead," she said sharply. "He's in shock. The bullet didn't hit him. Look." Elara's vision blurred with tears as she looked again. The blood wasn't Kai's. The intruder lay crumpled near the shattered window, a dark stain spreading beneath him. The gunshot hadn't hit Kai at all. He was breathing, shallow but breathing. Elara's relief came so hard and fast it made her dizzy. Kai's sister pressed 2 fingers against his throat, nodding once. He's alive. We need to get him out before more show up. Wait, Elara said, voice cracking. You still haven't told me who you are. What's going on? Why did someone want to kill your brother? Kai's sister looked at her with an intensity that made Elara's breath stall. My name is Mara, and the people after him, they aren't finished. Elara? The voice was faint, barely a breath. She leaned close as his eyes fluttered open, heavy with pain. You're safe, she whispered. I swear it. He tried to sit up, grimacing. Mara placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. Don't move, Mara said. You're concussed, half-frozen, and you've lost a lot of blood. Kai blinked slowly, focusing on Elara with a softness that didn't belong in a night like this. I knew they'd come, he murmured. I just didn't expect you to get dragged in. Elara swallowed. You crash-landed in my field. I think the universe dragged me in on purpose. A ghost of a smile touched his lips, before fading into pain. Mara checked the window. We need to leave. There will be more tracking signals from the crash site. Leave, Elara echoed. But this is my home. Mara turned to her, expression tight. If you stay, they'll use you to get to him. Elara's stomach twisted. Kai reached for her hand, weakly, blindly, and she caught it without hesitation. I'm not leaving her, he said. Kai, be reasonable, Mara snapped. She's safer here. We can draw them away. No, Kai's voice was low, rough, unshakable. She saved my life. I'm not walking out that door without her. Elara's breath hitched. The storm raged outside, but something deeper thundered inside her chest. Mara exhaled sharply. Fine, but we need to move fast. She went to the door, peering into the storm. Froze. Completely. Elara's heart seized. What is it? Mara stepped back from the door, eyes wide. They're already here. As lightning flashed, their shapes appeared, several dark figures moving through the rain, surrounding the farmhouse, silent as shadows. Kai tightened his grip on Elara's hand. Elara, he whispered. If they get inside, there's something I need to tell you before. But the words were swallowed as the front door handle began to turn. The metal doorknob twisted with slow, terrifying certainty. Mara reacted instantly. She yanked Kai and Elara backward, her voice barely more than a breath. Backroom. Move. Elara's pulse thundered in her ears as they stumbled down the hallway. The farmhouse suddenly felt too small, too fragile. Every creaking board seemed to scream danger. Behind them, the front door exploded open. Boots pounded on the wooden floor. They're inside, Kai whispered, his hand gripping Elara's as if she were the last solid thing left in his world. Mara shoved them into the pantry and closed the door behind them, plunging them into darkness. The air was thick with the scent of herbs and old wood, but all Elara could feel was Kai's trembling breath against her cheek. He was injured, exhausted, but his fingers stayed laced with hers, tight and desperate. Outside, a man's voice boomed through the house. Search every room. Stanton's hurt, he can't have gotten far. Elara's heart slammed painfully against her ribs. Kai leaned closer. Elara, he whispered, his voice strained, I need you to know something. If we don't get out of here... Don't, she breathed, gripping his hand harder. Don't talk like that. But he cupped her cheek with his shaking hand, thumb brushing a tear she hadn't noticed falling. I should have told you earlier, he murmured. The crash, it wasn't because of the storm. I didn't lose control. I jumped. I put the plane down on purpose. Her breath caught. What? Why would you? Heavy footsteps passed outside the pantry door. Kai leaned his forehead against hers, voice ragged with truth and fear. Elara, I was running. From my own company. From people I trusted. They found out something big, something that could destroy everything. And I couldn't let them use it. But what is it? she whispered. He swallowed. They're after a file. And I gave it to the only person I knew they'd never suspect. Elara blinked, confused. What person? Kai hesitated. Then he said it. You. Her breath stopped. Me? Kai, I transferred it to your email before the crash, he whispered. A backup. A fail-safe. I thought if I didn't make it, at least it would be with someone good. Elara stared at him, heart racing, mind spinning. But I never got any. Before she could finish, the pantry door handle began to twist. Both of them froze. Mara's voice hissed from the other side, too soft for anyone else to hear, but just loud enough for them. Window. Now. She must have cracked the pantry window open from outside. Cold night air rushed in. Kai squeezed Elara's hand. Elara, go. No, she whispered fiercely. We're going together. He gave her a look, one full of pain, gratitude, and something deeper she didn't dare name yet. The door's hinges creaked. A shadow fell under the crack. The intruders were inches away. Elara climbed onto the small stool, pulling Kai up with her despite his weight and injuries. Rain soaked them instantly as they pushed through the window, landing in the mud outside the farmhouse. Mara appeared from the darkness, grabbing Kai's arm. We have to get to the barn. There's a truck. But before they could move, headlights blazed to life on the far side of the property. 2 cars, maybe 3, engines rumbling like beasts ready to strike. Mara swore under her breath. They're cutting us off. Kai groaned, leaning heavily on Elara. His strength was fading fast. Elara, he whispered. Yes. If they get the file, it isn't just my life on the line. It's yours too. Elara's blood turned to ice. What's in the file? She asked. Kai looked at her with eyes full of something she had never seen before. Fear, yes, but also trust. Deep, absolute trust. It's the truth about my father, he said, and about what Stanton Corp has really been doing. Elara's breath caught. But before he could say more, a gunshot cracked through the night, and Mara fell to her knees. Mara! Kai lurched forward, agony twisting his features as he tried to reach his sister. Elara grabbed him, barely stopping him from collapsing beside her. Mara clutched her shoulder, breath hissing through clenched teeth. It's fine, she gasped. Just a graze. But we need to move, now. Elara's hands shook as she pressed her palm to Mara's wound, trying to stem the bleeding. You call this a graze? Mara forced out a strained laugh. You should see what he did to the other guy. But her eyes were already glassy with pain. The sound of doors slamming, voices shouting, and boots crunching on gravel swelled around them. More men, 3, maybe 4, were spreading out across the property, sweeping the dark fields with flashlights. We're surrounded, Elara whispered. Kai swayed on his feet, gripping Elara's shoulder to stay upright. Rain streamed down his pale face, mixing with the blood dried at his temple. They're here for the file, Mara said through gritted teeth. They think Kai still has it. Elara's heart hammered. But it's in my email, why haven't I seen anything? Kai's jaw clenched as he leaned heavily against her. I locked it. It won't appear unless I activate it with a key phrase. I didn't get the chance to tell you. Elara stared at him. So, the thing people are trying to kill you for is sitting on my account. Yes, he said quietly. Because I trust you. Thunder cracked overhead. Elara felt the weight of his words settle into her chest, terrifying, impossible, and undeniably real. Before she could speak, flashlights flickered across the field, beams slicing through rain and fog. They're flanking us, Mara hissed. We can't stay out here. Elara's gaze darted across the property and landed on something she hadn't thought about in years. The root cellar, she whispered, behind the barn. It's underground. You can't see it unless you know it's there. Mara and Kai exchanged a look, one that carried both hope and urgency. Move, Kai said, his voice suddenly sharp with determination. We make it there, we buy time. They ran. Or tried to. Mara half limped, half stumbled, clutching her shoulder. Kai's steps were uneven, his breaths harsh and shallow, but he never let go of Elara's hand, not even for a second. The storm swallow. With their footsteps, but the shouts behind them grew louder. By the barn. Elara's blood turned cold. She pushed Kai ahead of her, urging him toward the dark outline of the barn. The old building loomed through the rain, its doors battered by the wind. But just as they reached the far side, a gunshot split the night, and a bullet thudded into the dirt inches from Elara's boot. Down! Mar hissed. They dove behind the barn, mud splashing up around them. Elara's heart pounded so hard her vision blurred. Kai's hand found hers in the darkness. Almost there, he whispered. Her voice shook. Can you even run? For you, he breathed, managing a faint smile. I'll do more than run. Before she could answer, flashlights swept around the barn. They didn't have seconds left. They had one. Elara scrambled to the small trapdoor concealed beneath tangled weeds and dead leaves. Her hands trembled as she lifted the rusted ring, pulling with everything she had. The door creaked open, revealing darkness below. Go, she urged. Mara slid down first. Kai hesitated, only for a heartbeat, then began to climb in. Elara was about to follow when a voice shouted sharply. She's over here. Elara froze. Boots thundered toward her. Kai reached up from the darkness, panic flashing across his face. Elara! Jump! Turned. A figure charged toward her, arm raised, gun aimed. Elara sucked in a trembling breath, and threw herself into the cellar, just as the trapdoor slammed shut above her. Darkness swallowed her whole. A moment passed. Then two. Kai's trembling hand found her face in the pitch black. Elara, his voice cracked, fear, relief, and something deeper all tangled together. I thought I lost you. But above them, footsteps stopped right on top of the trapdoor. And someone said, check below. That door shouldn't be open. The footsteps above them stopped directly on the trapdoor. Every heartbeat became a hammer inside Elara's chest. She couldn't see Kai, couldn't see Mara, only their breaths, ragged and trembling, filled the air around her. Someone's been down here, the man above said. The weeds are disturbed. Another voice joined him, cold, methodical. Open it. Elara's pulse spiked. Kai reached for her in the darkness, finding her hand, squeezing hard. His grip was shaking. Elara, he whispered, barely audible, stay behind me. Like hell, she breathed, but he pulled her close anyway, his arms curling protectively around her as Mara shifted beside them, the sound of her flicking the safety off her gun echoing like thunder in the cramped space. Above them, metal scraped against rust. The men were trying to pry open the cellar door. Mara whispered urgently, if they get in here, we won't stand a chance. It's too tight. They could take all three of us with one shot. Elara's breath hitched as Kai leaned his forehead against hers, the gesture raw and desperate in the suffocating dark. There's another way out, she whispered suddenly, hope flickering. An old tunnel. It was dug back when this farm belonged to my grandparents. It leads to the woods. You didn't mention that earlier? Mar hissed. I forgot until now. I haven't used it in years. Good enough, Mara muttered. Which way? Elara reached blindly, her fingertips searching the dirt until she found the rotting wooden board half buried in the floor. She yanked it up. A stale gust of cold earth breathed out from below. That's it, she whispered. But the moment Mara dropped into the tunnel to check, the trapdoor above groaned. Gunshots. Wood splintered. Light burst through tiny cracks in the ceiling as bullets punched through the planks. Kai grabbed Elara and shoved her toward the tunnel entrance. Go! No, you first, she cried. Elara, he rasped, gripping her shoulders with the last of his strength. I won't let them take you. You have to go. You're the one they want now. The boards overhead buckled. Boots stomped. Voices yelled. They're down there. Open fire. Mara's voice echoed from below. Elara, move. Kai pushed her again. But this time, when Elara grabbed his shirt to pull him with her, he stumbled. And didn't catch himself. He collapsed to his knees. Kai, she whispered, horrified. I can't feel my left leg, he gasped. Bullet, Gray's earlier must have hit deeper than I thought. Elara dropped down beside him, cradling his face. You are not staying behind. Do you hear me? He caught her hand, pressing it against his chest, right over his hammering heart. Elara, he murmured, voice shaking with pain and something heartbreakingly sincere. I meant what I said. I trust you with everything. But if they get me, fine. If they get you... A bullet punched through the ceiling inches from Kai's shoulder. He flinched, Elara screamed. Mara's voice bellowed from the tunnel below. Knock the damn door in. Both of you. Now. The trapdoor above finally gave way with a violent crack. Light poured in, and the silhouette of a man appeared at the opening, gun raised, aimed straight at Kai. Elara didn't think. She threw herself in front of him, just as the man pulled the trigger. The gun fired. Elara screamed as the deafening roar of the shot split the night. Pain exploded in her shoulder, not hers, but the force of the impact as she collided with Kai, throwing them both backward into the mud and darkness of the tunnel entrance. Kai groaned, clutching his leg, his face pale and twisted with pain. Elara, he rasped, breath ragged. Her hands fumbled to steady him, trying to ignore the ringing in her own ears. We have to move. Now. From above, the men's shouts were frantic. They were coming down the tunnel. Relentless. Mara's voice came from deeper in the tunnel, steady but strained. Keep going. Almost there. Elara grabbed Kai under the arms, half dragging, half carrying him. The mud sucked at their boots, the tunnel walls slick and cramped. Rainwater dripped from the ceiling, making everything slippery. Every step was agony, every second a battle against the storm outside, and the storm of danger closing in. Almost there, Kai groaned, teeth clenched. He pressed his forehead to hers as she lifted him over a particularly low patch. What? She snapped, desperation in her voice. He coughed violently, gripping her hand like he'd never let go. If they get the file, whatever's in it, it's bigger than me, bigger than Stanton. Promise me you'll protect it, promise me you survive. Her throat tightened. I promise. But don't even think about leaving me behind. Kai's lips trembled into a ghost of a smile. I won't. Not if you're alive. The tunnel opened into a narrow clearing behind the woods, just beyond the barn. Rain poured down, turning the ground into a river of mud. A pickup truck, Morris, waited at the edge, engine running, lights cutting through the storm. Elara tried to lift Kai toward it, but his weight was almost more than she could bear. Suddenly, a flashlight swept across the clearing. The intruders had followed them. One of the men shouted, voice carrying across the storm, "There! Grab them before they reach the truck." Before Elara could react, another figure burst from the tree line. Tall, fast, and moving like a shadow in the storm. Lightning struck just as she recognized him. A man she had never seen before, but whose face carried authority, danger, and familiarity in the same instant. He raised a hand, not to attack, but to signal the intruders to stop. Elara blinked, rain stinging her eyes. Who are you?" The man's voice cut through the storm like steel. "I've been sent to clean up this mess, but not everyone's making it out alive." Kai groaned beside her, blood mixing with the rain on his temple. "Elara, stay close. No matter what." The man stepped forward into the rain, and lightning illuminated a brief, terrifying smile. Then the intruders froze. And suddenly, a deafening roar filled the sky, not thunder, but engines. Hundreds of feet away, dark silhouettes of helicopters emerged from the storm clouds, their searchlights cutting the darkness. Elara's heart leapt. "Rescue?" she whispered, hope trembling. Kai's eyes flickered with something she couldn't quite read, relief, fear, and something deeper, darker. The stranger in front of them raised a hand toward the approaching helicopters. "You have no idea what's coming next," he said. And then, as the first helicopter descended into the clearing, a piercing alarm sounded, coming from Elara's own phone. She fumbled it from her pocket. The screen flashed red. Incoming message from Kai's email. She opened it and froze. The file was gone. Elara stared at her phone, fingers trembling. The file, the one Kai had trusted her with, was gone. Her stomach dropped. "Kai, it's gone. Someone took it." He groaned, trying to sit up in the mud. "No, it can't be. I trusted you with it." His voice cracked, a rare moment of vulnerability. Elara knelt beside him, gripping his shoulders. "It's not your fault. We'll get it back. We have to." Above them, the helicopters hovered like mechanical vultures, their searchlights slicing through the storm. The stranger, tall, dangerous, and unreadable, stepped closer. "I suggest you move fast," he said. His voice was calm, but every word carried authority. "The people after the file aren't ordinary criminals. They know everything about Stanton Aerospace and about you." Elara blinked, confusion and fear swirling. "About me?" Kai's hand found hers again, weak but insistent. "Elara, whatever's in that file, it can destroy my family, my company, and anyone who protects it, including you." Her chest tightened, but she didn't let go. "Then we protect it together. No one dies tonight." The stranger's eyes flicked to Kai, sharp and calculating. "You don't have a choice. That file has power. Power people will kill for. If it's gone now, you have maybe minutes before they trace it to you." Mara, leaning against the truck, winced as she bandaged her shoulder. "We can't outrun them forever. We need a plan. Kai, can you even stand?" He pushed himself up, teeth gritted, rain plastering his hair to his forehead. "I don't care if I can stand. We fight. Or we die trying." Elara swallowed hard, heart hammering, and pressed closer to him. In the chaos, she realized how much she already cared, how terrified she would be if he weren't here, alive, right now. A voice boomed from the tree line. "Kai Stanton." They all froze. Emerging from the shadows was a figure in a long coat, umbrella useless in the torrential rain. But it wasn't just any figure, it was a woman. Fierce, elegant, and utterly terrifying. Kai's face went pale. "Isabella," he whispered. Elara's pulse skipped. "Who?" "Kai's former partner," Mara said quietly, "before he took over Stanton Aerospace. No one in this storm is who they seem." Isabella raised a hand, a small, cruel smile on her lips. "I came for the file, and for Kai." Kai stepped in front of Elara, unsteady but defiant. "You'll have to go through me." She laughed, low and cold. "Oh, I plan to." Elara gripped Kai's hand tighter. The storm whipped around them, helicopters circling, intruders closing in, and the file, their leverage, their lifeline, vanished into unknown hands. Kai's blue eyes met hers, and in that moment, all fear, all danger, all desperation melted into something raw, undeniable. "I swear," he whispered, voice trembling, "I will protect you, even if it kills me." Before she could respond, Isabella flicked her wrist, and the forest around them erupted in fire. The flames spread unnaturally fast, the helicopter's searchlights reflecting off the smoke, the intruders freezing in panic. Elara's heart raced. She turned to Kai. "We have to move. Now." He nodded, gripping her hand like a lifeline. Together, they ran toward the truck, and the chaos only intensified. But just as they reached the tailgate, Isabella stepped in their path. Rain and fire casting shadows across her face, she raised a gun aimed at Kai, and smiled. Kai's voice was low, a growl that made Elara shiver. "You're not taking her." The first shot rang out, and everything went black. The deafening crack of gunfire echoed through the storm as Elara hit the ground, dragging Kai with her behind the truck. Sparks from a stray bullet ignited the puddles around them, sending plumes of steam into the rain. "Stay down," Kai shouted, gritting his teeth as blood dripped down his temple. His legs screamed in pain with every movement. Elara pressed her forehead to his shoulder. "We can't just stay here. She'll kill us both." Kai's jaw clenched. "Then we fight." Above them, the helicopters dipped lower, searchlights cutting through the rain. The intruders froze in confusion, unsure how to proceed in the chaos. But Isabella didn't hesitate. She stepped forward, her gun steady, her smile cruel. "You're brave," she said to Kai, "but bravery won't save you tonight." Elara's hands shook, but she forced herself to move. She grabbed a metal rod lying near the truck, her grip tight, her mind racing. Kai, oh, we can't outrun her forever, she whispered. He pressed a finger to her lips. Then we make them regret coming after us. His gaze softened, almost painfully, as he added, I can't lose you. Elara's heart lurched. You won't. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the trio in a ghostly flash. In that moment, she noticed the small device clipped to Isabella's belt, an electronic tracker, pulsing faint red. She realized with a sickening jolt that this was how Isabella had found them. Elara, Kai hissed, noticing her stare. The device, get it off her. Elara nodded, heart pounding. She lunged forward, rolling under the rain, striking at Isabella with the metal rod. Isabella twisted, firing a shot that whizzed past her ear, narrowly missing her. Kai groaned, trying to push himself upright, and in the chaos, the red device clipped to Isabella's belt fell into the mud. Elara snatched it, holding it high. That's it, she shouted. We've got it. Isabella froze, fury flashing in her eyes. Give it back, Stanton. Now. Kai saw an opening, weakness in Isabella's stance, and with a Herculean effort, lifted himself partially, dragging Elara behind him as they ran toward the truck. Mara's voice echoed from the shadows of the barn. Get in. Now. Elara threw open the driver's side door, helping Kai into the seat. He gritted his teeth as she struggled to fasten his seatbelt, his hands trembling but still holding hers. Drive! Mara shouted, hopping into the passenger side. The engine roared to life. Tires spun in the mud, spraying water and debris, as Elara slammed the truck into gear and tore through the stormy night. Behind them, Isabella raised her gun, but a helicopter's spotlight blinded her for a split second. Mara took the moment, flipping a switch in the truck's bed. Smoke erupted, cloaking their escape in a dense cloud. The helicopters circled, searching, but the smoke and rain hid their trail. For the first time, Elara dared a glance at Kai. He was pale, shaking from pain and adrenaline, but his eyes, blue and fierce, met hers. And in that terrifying, impossible night, something undeniable ignited between them. Elara, he whispered, voice hoarse, I can't let you go. Not now. Not ever. Her breath caught. You won't have to. But just as relief started to bloom, the truck jolted violently. Something heavy slammed into the back. The red device in her hands beeped loudly. They found us, Mara growled. Kai's hand shot out, gripping hers. Hold on. And in the next moment, the truck veered violently, teetering on the edge of the muddy slope that led down into the dark, roaring river below. The storm raged around them. Isabella, the helicopters, their enemies closing in. And as the truck teetered, seconds from plunging into the river, Kai whispered, voice shaking with both fear and determination. Whatever happens, you have to survive. The truck tipped, and everything went black. The world flipped upside down. Mud, rain, and the roaring storm became a blur as the truck tipped over the edge of the riverbank. Water crashed over the windshield, dragging Elara and Kai into the icy, churning river. Elara's lungs burned as she gasped for air. She tried to lift Kai, but his weight pinned her under the rushing current. Hold on, she screamed, fighting the cold, the current, and the panic threatening to swallow her whole. I'm here, he rasped, gripping her arm with surprising strength. Don't let go. They were swept under a fallen tree trunk, the water dragging them along, teeth chattering cold. Lightning flashed, illuminating the nightmare, debris, branches, and the raging river closing in around them. Mara's voice pierced the chaos, somehow audible over the roar of water and wind. Elara, grab the rope. The cable. Elara's hands found something, a thin line of rope tangled in branches. With Kai still holding on, she pulled, using all her strength to haul them toward a jutting rock. Their bodies slammed against it, and the current tried to pry them free. Kai coughed violently, water pouring from his mouth. I can't swim, he gasped. Yes, you can. Elara shouted, gripping his hand and meeting his gaze. You're not letting me go. I'm not letting you go either. Lightning split the sky, and in that flash she saw it. A figure on the riverbank, Mara, swinging a coil of rope down toward them. "Grab it!" Mara yelled. Kai's fingers brushed hers. "You promise me, if we survive." "I promise," Elara said fiercely, anchoring herself. "We survive. Together." He nodded, determination shining through pain and exhaustion. Together, they grabbed the rope. Mara pulled with all her might, and the three of them finally tumbled onto solid ground, shivering, soaked, and trembling from the near-death struggle. For a moment, they lay there, gasping and clinging to each other, the storm still raging around them. Kai's hand found Elara's face, brushing wet hair from her eyes. He started, voice low, raw. "I almost lost you." "You didn't," she whispered, pressing her forehead to his. "Not today. Not ever." He closed his eyes for a moment, relief, pain, and something deeper crossing his face. Then he opened them, meeting hers with intensity. "Elara, there's something else about the file, something I haven't told you yet." Her heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" Kai swallowed hard. "It's not just about Stanton Aerospace. It's evidence. Evidence that could destroy powerful people. People with influence over governments, banks, everything. That's why Isabella is after it. That's why they tried to kill me, and why now they won't stop until they get it. Or us." Elara's breath hitched. "So, they'll never give up?" Kai shook his head slowly, his wet hair plastered to his forehead. "Not unless we fight back. And even then, it will cost us." The storm began to die down, leaving a quiet eeriness over the riverbank. Elara looked at him, soaked, battered, heart still racing. "Then we fight. Together." Kai took her hands in his, trembling but steady. "Together," he echoed, voice low and certain. Suddenly, a low rumble came from the sky. Helicopters circling again, searchlights cutting through the remaining mist. Mara gritted her teeth. "They're not done. And neither is Isabella." Elara's grip tightened on Kai's. "Then we stop running. We end this, tonight." Kai's eyes met hers, blue and stormy as the river they had just escaped. For the first time, the fear and desperation melted into something fierce, burning, and undeniable. Then, far in the distance, a figure emerged from the trees, moving fast through the mud and rain. Elara squinted. Her heart stopped. It was Isabella. And she wasn't alone. Isabella emerged from the trees, slick with rain, her coat plastered to her form. Behind her, several dark figures sloshed through the mud, guns raised, silent and relentless. Elara's hand tightened on Kai's. "We can't outrun them again." Kai shook his head, teeth clenched. "No. Tonight, we end this. Together." Mara reached into the truck bed, pulling out a flare gun. "We're not going down without a fight. But stay close. One wrong move." "I know," Elara whispered, heart hammering. The wind shifted, carrying Isabella's voice, sharp and cruel. "Stanton, hand over the file. Or die." Kai stepped in front of Elara, rain dripping from his soaked hair, every bruise and cut on his body visible in the flickering helicopter lights. "You're not getting it. Not today. Not ever." Lightning flashed. The tension was unbearable. Every muscle in Elara's body screamed. Then Isabella fired. The shot went wild, splintering a tree trunk inches from Kai. Mara fired back, the flare illuminating the clearing in violent orange bursts. Shadows danced across the mud. Elara's pulse raced as she realized the device she had taken from Isabella earlier began beeping, faint, urgent, and pulsing. Someone was tracking it. Kai grabbed her hand. "We have one chance. We split up. Isabella thinks we're both with the file." "No," Elara protested, but he pressed a finger to her lips. "Trust me," he said, eyes fierce, desperate, and raw. "I've survived worse. You survive. Then we finish this together." Elara's heart shattered and soared at the same time. I know," he whispered. His lips brushed hers in a fleeting, burning kiss, soaked and muddy and raw, a promise and a farewell all at once. Before she could say more, he ducked behind a fallen tree, dragging the decoy file with him. Elara sprinted toward the opposite side of the clearing, rain stinging her face, adrenaline screaming through her veins. She clutched the device tightly, knowing the real file was now safe, hidden, encrypted, unreachable for now. Gunfire erupted. Helicopter lights cut across the darkness. Isabella's furious screams echoed. Elara dove behind another tree as a bullet tore through the mud beside her. Her heart pounded. She glanced toward Kai. He was fighting, barely moving under the hail of fire, but alive. She swallowed her fear. She could do this. They could survive this. Then, a shadow detached itself from the tree line. Someone moving faster than human. Elara froze. A voice, calm and icy, cut through the storm. Hand over the file, or the next shot hits him. Her stomach lurched. She looked, and saw Kai, trapped, pinned by one of Isabella's men, gun to his temple. Elara's chest constricted. No! She clenched the device, ready to make the hardest choice of her life. Trust him to survive alone, or risk everything to save him. Lightning flashed. Rain poured. The clearing was chaos. And in that heartbeat, where fear, love, and desperation collided, Elara realized the fight wasn't just for the file. It was for Kai. Her voice rose above the storm. Let him go. I swear, I will end you myself. Silence fell, broken only by the storm. Isabella smiled, a slow, terrifying smile that promised this wasn't over. And then she whispered, almost gently, "Very well, but the real danger isn't me." Elara's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" Isabella's gaze flicked to the sky. The helicopter blades hummed louder, casting their beams over the clearing. The ones who want this file, they're already on their way. And they don't negotiate. Elara's eyes widened. The storm wasn't over. The real battle hadn't even begun. Kai's hand found hers, trembling but alive. "Whatever comes, we face it together," he whispered. She nodded, gripping his hand like her life depended on it, because tonight, it literally did. And above them, the storm cracked open, revealing the first signs of something bigger, darker, and unstoppable descending from the sky. The storm had lifted slightly, but the night air was thick with tension. The helicopters circled, their searchlights scanning the clearing, and the mud-soaked forest around them seemed alive with danger. Elara crouched behind a fallen tree, Kai at her side, both drenched and exhausted. The device, the fake tracker, still pulsed faintly in her hand. They knew Isabella had been a decoy, but the real threat was incoming. The mysterious, unstoppable force Isabella had warned about. Kai's hand found hers, fingers entwining. "Elara, whatever happens, stay with me. No matter what." "I'm not going anywhere," she whispered, leaning into him. "We survive. Together." A low hum echoed through the clearing. Elara's eyes widened. Dozens of drones appeared in the sky, carrying armed men in black gear. They were professionals, military-trained, efficient, and ruthless. "They're here," Mara growled, "and they don't play by rules." Kai tightened his grip on her hand. "Time to end this." From the shadows, Isabella stepped forward, smirking. "I warned you, but I suppose you have to learn the hard way. Go ahead, fight, see how far loyalty gets you." Elara's heart pounded. "She's not our problem anymore. The file is safe." Kai nodded. "Then let's finish the people who really matter." Mara handed him a flare gun. "Cover fire," she said. "We take out the drones long enough to get the file to a safe location." The next moments were chaos. Gunfire erupted from the clearing, drones swooped down with alarming precision, and Kai and Elara moved like a single unit, back to back, covering each other. Elara fired a shot at a drone, sparks flying as it crashed into the mud. Kai pushed her out of the way of another attack, his hand brushing hers, heart stopping in its intensity. Amid the chaos, Kai shouted over the storm, "Elara! Now!" She sprinted toward the hillside where a secure communication pod waited. The file, encrypted and untouchable, was safe. She sent it to a hidden server halfway across the world. When she turned, a drone barreled straight toward her. Kai lunged, tackling her to the ground, taking the hit himself. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he rolled them to safety. Elara pressed herself against him. Are you okay? He shook his head, blood mixing with rain. Never better, as long as you're alive. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. The rain, the chaos, the storm of bullets. Just Kai and Elara, soaked, bruised, but alive. Then Isabella appeared again, pointing a gun at them. It's over, Stanton. Give me the file. Or die. Kai's voice was fierce, protective, trembling with something deeper than fear. You're done, Isabella. You've lost. The file isn't yours. And we're not afraid of you. Elara's heart thundered as she stepped forward, standing beside him. Together, she whispered, and for the first time, Isabella hesitated. The authority in their unity, the fire in their eyes, was something she hadn't expected. Before Isabella could react, Mara fired a flare into the sky. The blinding light temporarily disoriented the remaining drones and henchmen. Kai and Elara seized the moment, moving as one, their fingers intertwined, facing every danger together. Isabella's smirk faltered. This isn't over, she hissed, retreating into the forest, the storm behind her fading. Kai pulled Elara close, brushing rain from her face. It's over for tonight, he whispered, voice low, raw, and trembling. Elara smiled, leaning her forehead against his. For tonight, she echoed. The storm was gone. The rain softened. And in the eerie calm, the first glimmers of dawn broke through the clouds. Kai cupped her face with both hands, eyes locked on hers. Elara, I don't want to survive any more storms without you. Her heart leapt. You won't have to, she whispered, and in the golden light of the rising sun, soaked, battered, but alive, Kai and Elara kissed, fierce, desperate, and full of a promise that no storm could ever break. The file was safe. The danger was gone, for now. But as they watched the horizon together, Elara knew one thing. With Kai by her side, she was ready for whatever storm came next. Weeks had passed since the stormy night that had nearly claimed their lives. Willow Creek was quiet again, its fields muddy in early spring rains, the farmhouse standing battered but intact. Elara stood on the porch, a warm blanket around her shoulders, coffee steaming in her hands. Her gaze stretched over the fields, now calm and peaceful, yet she could still feel the echoes of that night. The fear, the adrenaline, the closeness of Kai. A familiar rumble broke her thoughts. The truck, mud-splattered but running, rolled up the driveway. Kai stepped out, soaked from the morning drizzle, but smiling. That smile, the one that had kept her heart tethered even in the darkest storm, made her chest flutter. Elara, he said softly, approaching. I checked the security systems again. Everything's safe. The file truly is gone from everyone who tried to steal it. She smiled, relief flooding her. I was starting to think we'd never get a quiet moment. He laughed softly, brushing wet hair from his eyes. Then he reached for her hand, sliding his fingers into hers. I never want to go through anything like that again. I want normal. If you'll have me. Her heart leapt. Normal with you? I think I can manage that. Kai's hand cupped her cheek, thumb brushing lightly across her damp skin. Elara, I've been through storms, fires, betrayals, and worse. But nothing made me feel more alive than being with you. I don't want to survive without you anymore. Tears pricked her eyes, not from fear, but from overwhelming emotion. I feel the same way. You saved me, protected me, trusted me. I can't imagine life without you either. He leaned closer, and the rain, the mud, the chaos of the past weeks faded into insignificance. In that moment, there was only them. Only the warmth of hands, the brush of lips, the heartbeat of a love forged in the storm. They kissed, slow and fierce, a promise to each other that whatever came next, they would face it together. The sun broke through the clouds, scattering golden light across the fields. Willow Creek had survived the storm, and so had they. Kai pulled back slightly, forehead resting against hers. Ready to start our life? Elara smiled, heart full. With you? Always. And together, soaked, bruised, but unbroken, they stepped into the morning, finally free, and finally, truly together. The sun was setting over Willow Creek, casting golden light across the fields where wildflowers had begun to bloom. The farmhouse, once battered and storm-worn, now stood strong. Fresh paint on the walls, flowers in the window boxes, and the soft hum of life inside. Elara stood on the porch, a warm blanket around her shoulders, watching the horizon. A soft laugh caught her attention, and she turned. Kai was coming up the path, barefoot, holding a small picnic basket and a bouquet of wildflowers. His smile, the same one that had kept her heart tethered through the stormy nights, made her chest flutter. "You really think flowers and sandwiches are going to make up for dragging me through a near-death experience?" she teased, her eyes sparkling. Kai grinned, brushing damp hair from his forehead. "Not just any flowers, the kind that survived the storm. Kind of like us." Elara laughed softly and held out her hand. "Then I suppose I can forgive you." He took her hand and pulled her close. "Elara, this past year, it's been more than I ever hoped for. After everything, the crash, the fire, the chaos, you stayed. You fought. You survived. And you loved me through it all." Her eyes glistened. "I didn't have a choice. You're impossible to let go of." He laughed, low and full of warmth, and pulled her into a slow, lingering kiss. When they broke apart, foreheads resting together, he whispered, "I want the rest of my life with you. Here, away from everything dangerous, but wherever you are, I want to be there too." Tears sprang to her eyes, and she smiled through them. "Then you don't have to ask twice." The sound of laughter and splashing came from the small pond behind the farmhouse. Elara and Kai looked over to see Mara, healthy and strong, teaching a local farmhand how to handle a stubborn horse. Even in the aftermath of danger, life had returned to normal, yet the bond forged in the storm remained unbroken. Kai squeezed her hand. "You know, 1 year ago, I never would have believed we'd be standing here like this. Safe, happy?" Elara tilted her head, smiling. "Neither would I. But here we are, alive, together." He pulled her close, holding her tightly, rain-soaked memories fading into the warmth of the present. "And no matter what comes next," he said softly, "we face it together. Always." Elara rested her head against his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart, and whispered, "Always." Above them, the last streaks of sunlight broke through the clouds. The fields glowed golden, the storm was gone, and the future stretched before them, bright, uncertain, and full of promise. And as they walked hand in hand toward the farmhouse, the world felt safe for the first time in their lives.